I'm Kathy Haley, Northern Region Vice President of the Poetry Society of Virginia. Welcome to Poetry of Place, a reading in the Northern Region series in celebration of the Poetry Society of Virginia's centennial, featuring Laura J. Bobrow, Claudia Gary, and Wendell Hawken. Our lives change as we travel from place to place, whether physically, in memory and imagination, or vicariously as we read, view art, and listen to music. Courtney Fay Taylor, a Cave Canem Fellow and author of Concentrate, was featured in today's email update from Poets and Writers. Taylor says of travel, I visit Detroit to see my line sisters, Charlotte to see my mother, Brooklyn to see my love. I'm appreciative of what travel offers me artistically, a chance to experience something new, and in turn, say something new. There's the poet I am in Michigan, the poet I am in North Carolina, and the one I am in New York. Each poet is distinct. Each should speak. Let's listen to the voices of Laura J. Bobrow, Claudia Gary, Wendell Hawken, as they share their voices from the places they've traveled. We'll begin with Laura.
Am I on?
I'm going to read your bio now and then you'll go, okay? Laura J. Bobrow has been winning awards for her poetry ever since 1960, when former poet laureate Louis Untermeyer dubbed her the American Milne. She has been a judge for the annual competitions of the Florida State Poetry Association and the Poetry Society of Virginia. She is the author of 6 poetry chapbooks, including Of the Cat. That's the cover I'll put in the chat. In her life, Laura has been a magazine editor, author, folk singer, sculptor, painter, poet, and lyricist. She juggled all of these pursuits at once. It was when she discovered the world of storytelling that everything came together. The music, the art, and the visual excitement were all there. The epiphany came at a children's book writers' conference when she listened to a storyteller describe the techniques he used to turn a told story into a book. There has been no stopping her since. Laura.
Thank you, Kathy. You know, I really don't travel, but when Kathy said place, I immediately thought of cats because cats are very particular about space. So I have chosen to share with you some poems from my chapbook Of the Cat. The Lucky Cat. This morning, I'm going to sleep in her bed. Here it is warm with a redolent smell, eau de cologne, where she lays her head, creating a hollow. It fits me quite well. Afternoon, once I have finished my nap, there's laundry to lie on. A good place to doze. Likely as not, she won't care a rap if she finds me curled up on her newly washed clothes. Except for some birding and grooming of fur, sleep is a thing that a feline does best. How lucky I am to be living with her. Each day is a challenge, each hour a quest regarding the place where I choose to recline. Every comfortable spot in this whole house is mine. To the new kitten. I've told this to you once or twice, no, 20 times to be precise. You must outgrow your need to keep close by me when I go to sleep. Your whiskers, like a scratchy mask, are nuzzled in my face. Don't ask. You manage with your kitten spread to take up more than half the bed. You lick my neck, and what is more, I have to listen to you snore. I want to let you know up front that I do love you I'll be blunt. You're all I've ever wished for, but tonight the bedroom door stays shut. Dear Cat, within my sacred writing spot, I am queen and you are not. There is one chair on which I sit. Your august bottom would not fit. Within my sacred writing sight, pure inspiration fills the night. Your mewing can't disrupt the zen within my sacred writing den. To the cat who is now lying on my manuscript. If you were I, and I were you, that is to say, a cat, or if you were tiny as a flea, it wouldn't be a factor. But here you are, impeding my magnificent new opus. You purr, you stretch, you're making it impossible to focus. And now you've torn it up, not just by silly accident. You have got that look upon your face I think you really meant to. As for the work, I was myself somewhat a doubting Thomas. You're such a naughty cat. But as a critic, you show promise. Peter the gardener. Of all the world's possible mischief, Peter knows each variation. I've nicknamed him Peter the gardener, since that's his preferred occupation. The thing about gardening, says Peter, is that it's a communal endeavor. She needs me to help her. She wants me to help her. She likes me to help. I am clever. Are we ready to prune back the bushes? Although he's been busy elsewherely, brave Peter dives into the foliage. He keeps all his whiskers, but barely. Is it now time to water the pansies? And shouldn't we water the fescue? Do not be afraid of that wriggly green snake. Here comes Peter the cat to the rescue. He sinks his teeth into the monster, creating a wonderful spray. And see, it's a new sprinkler system. We've never had one till today. To watch Peter prance through the garden, impatience attached to one ear, is to witness a feline who's found his milieu. Yes, Peter the gardener is here. The lazy cat. Sweet kitchen noises from the house, the swick as cans release their tops, the sizzle of a frying pan. He salivates and licks his chops, while closer to his tingling ears, his drowsy feline mind perceives that mice pursue their livelihood and sparrows rustle in the leaves. At best, they'd make a paltry munch. Soft clouds take form and drift away. They'll call him when it's time for lunch. This one is called Perspective. I have taken the broom from its place in the hall. It is perfect for finding a lost rubber ball. The stove, says the cat, it is there without fail. Swish goes the broomstick, and swish goes his tail. Out comes a ball, which was formerly blue, and with it comes dust and a raw pea or two. I have looked at my house while ascending its stairs, dancing on carpets or sitting in chairs. But now that I'm down on my hands and my knees, I can see things the way that my cat always sees. We live in a palace, enormous in size, with a ceiling so high it would dazzle your eyes, with magical corners and places to go where a giant may enter without stooping low. And finally, 19 years later, when there's wind in the oak trees, you might hear my voice. I left you too soon, but I hadn't a choice. When the raindrops fall lightly pronouncing my name, you'll know I am near, though it won't be the same. Be sure to pet Peter, tell Rosie meow. If mice raid the pantry, I can't help them now. If I could, I'd be with you, but here I am, gone. You're left there without me. You must carry on. So plump up the pillows and turn off the light. Be brave, human person. I kiss you good night.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Okay, we are going to move on to Claudia Gary, and I'll read her bio. So my apologies, but the computer went to dark mode and it's made me have difficulty finding the exact page that I needed. Here it is. I wasn't able to put an image in the chat, but I did put the link to the website where different books are listed. And if you scroll down, you'll find Of the Cat. Claudia Gary lives near Washington, D.C. and teaches workshops on villanelle, sonnet, natural meter, poetry versus trauma, etc. at the Writers Center, writer.org, currently via Zoom. Her poems are internationally published and anthologized. She has been a semifinalist for the Anthony Hecht Prize, Way Wiser, and received honorable mention in the 2021 Able Muse Book Contest. She has chaired panels at the West Chester University, Pennsylvania, and the Robert Frost Farm Poetry Conferences. Author of Humor Me, 2006, and several chat books, most recently Genetic Revisionism, 2019. She is also a health science writer, visual artist, and composer of tonal chamber music and art songs. For more information, she has a page on the Poets and Writers website, pw.org, content Claudia_Gary, and you can follow her on Twitter at Claudia Gary. Claudia, you're on.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you everyone for being here. It's great to hear Laura. And while I have not traveled to all the places that I'll be reading about, only I've traveled to some of them, and you'll see some of them I couldn't possibly. I've placed something in the chat about my books and workshops, just so you can copy it later and save it for yourself if you want. So these are arranged from nearby to very far. Some of them have been published by journals in other countries, such as Netherlands and UK. Interestingly, people seem to publish things that relate to the most distant places from where they are. The first one's called Difficult Run. It's about a stream in Fairfax County, Virginia, the largest watershed in Fairfax County. Difficult Run. We've had one too, but here is a stream that leads somewhere with or without our care. The sidewalk turns and follows where a storm drain gulps and swallows. Its signage warns, keep clear. And now sweet rain arrives to ensure the woods stay green, though trash collects unseen. In the sign, a fish swims free on stenciled waves to sea. Alone, the fish survives. If the drain gets clogged too high, will the fish be you or I? This next one is about Key Bridge in Washington, D.C. And it will, in 2023, apparently it will be 100 years old. Key Bridge, Tuesday morning. And this is, by the way, this is a persona poem. It's in the voice of the bridge. I look down at the face of the Potomac, alive with sunlight. Then I bask a moment, look up at rubber shoes and tires spinning along the pavement of my span between Roslyn and Georgetown. Students, workers, tourists, under the bluest sky, breathing fresh air and feeling free. But here's a dour face, yesterday's debutante, today's chic matron, jogging across the river, eyes fixed forward, thoughts inward, worrying about her waistline, reliving last night's table conversation, reviewing her to-do and shopping lists, planning a party and a hair appointment, revising next year's garden, anything but what's around. A harried driver looks up and wishes she were outside glass and metal like this trim woman in a running suit who must be having a much better morning. This next one, and can everyone hear me? Okay. Okay, thanks. This next one is, it's in my chapbook, Let's Get Out of Here. It has to do with Fort McHenry in Baltimore. And it's a recasting of a very well-known song into a sonnet. Anthem. Do me a favor. When you go outside, look over toward the harbor. If you squint, you'll see it, or you won't, but it can't hide from sun setting or rising. There's a hint, a remnant where a spangled patch embroidered above the rosy contrails of the dawn still waves, as if the stars had reconnoitered their sister light. Why do I ramble on? There was a battle once to tear away that piece of cloth and burn it while we slept. We triumphed, but the gremlins are at play, sowing confusion as to what we've kept and what we're losing now, unless we save more than a recollection of the brave. So this next one, moving a little farther away, but still a place I've been. It's called Flyover Zone. Some say Louisiana Purchase best describes Midwest. Why not a stretch between the wide Missouri and the smooth prairie before it starts to bunch up into cliffs? No whys or ifs, only the geographic definition of an omission. No mention of the old ancestral grit and laws rewarding it with land, for some, not all, with fortitude. My own ancestral brood clung to the harbor, toiled so they could feast in what you call back east. We hardly ever thought of pioneers, except in grade school years, while sitting in a movie matinee on a dim Saturday, too hot or cold or rainy for the beach. There we would reach for popcorn, see the cowboys' big blue sky, and watch their bullets fly. And maybe we considered Hollywood a next door neighborhood. So next, somewhere I have never been, but heard about all my life. This is called The Gate Reopens. It refers to Germany, West and East. This is about to be published in Beltway Literary Journal, which is based in the Washington, D.C. area. The gate reopens. My father taught me not to fear a moment of forgetting. If it's important, he said, you will remember it. With Mom and me, he watched on black and white TV, families divided by barbed wire as the Berlin Wall went up. No sooner did it fall than he was on a plane. He would cross Checkpoint Charlie, walk through the Brandenburg Gate, bring us back shards of concrete, spray painted and demolished. Fluorescent green, graffiti words, divided, not forgotten. And let's see. The next is the Red Road. The next I would never possibly be able to visit. It's called the Red Roadster, and it's actually a parody of a famous poem, The Red Roadster. So much depends upon a red-wheeled roadster blazed across Twitter beside the blue planet. I wrote that before its owner bought Twitter, by the way. Thanks. And this next one is called Message to Earthlings from Voyagers 1 and 2. So we're getting farther and farther away from it. This is for Carolyn Porco, Voyager imaging scientist and Cassini imaging leader. Beyond some human lifetimes now, we've filled your minds with data, pictures, dreams. Though twinned, our paths diverge, itineraries build. Reaching the boundary of solar wind, we rode its termination shock to sail out into plasma space. While you continue sorting our childhood photos, they grow stale. We bear vital statistics from within you, your faces, body images, and voices, toward other stars, toward anyone who cares enough to grasp your golden disc, your choices of what they'll see, hear, touch, assuming theirs contact or empathy. Onward we fly, your complex way to say hello, goodbye. Thank you. And my last poem here is called A Panpsychist Confides in the Universe, which is basically here and all over the universe. And this is in my latest chapbook, Genetic Revisionism. A panpsychist confides in the universe, which is also a sonnet, by the way. The epigraph. The notion of a conscious universe turns out to have prominent supporters in a variety of fields. From NBC News in 2017. Ours was a lovely secret while it lasted. Now astrophysicists lay claim to you and turn their telescopes to rummage through the sweet coincidences we once tasted. My thought experiment was never wasted, thanks to your expertise. But what they'll do is nail you to a grid and misconstrue their wonder. As with farms bulldozed and blasted by speculator heirs, you're bound to see surveyors measure you for standard size parcels, mark straight lines, lop off hills, untree. Still, you and I will not forget the prize of intersecting fates, the cloudless view of oceans, galaxies we always knew. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claudia. A Washington, D.C. native, Wendell Hawken came to poetry late in life and earned her MFA in poetry at Warren Wilson decades after college. Her publications include 3 chapbooks and 4 full collections: The Luck of Being, White Bird, a sequence about her husband's battle with cancer, Stride for Stride, A Country Life, and Afterward. These span 2008 to 2022. Hawken lives on a grass farm in the northern Shenandoah Valley, where the first meaning of AI is artificial insemination. 2 dogs keep her company.
So in the country, a lot of my poems come from driving around, because you have to drive everywhere. And this happened on my road, the occasion of this poem. It's called Ditched. Loose dog, dropped dog, whatever might be small and lost and wary, whatever cannot be caught with squatted down soft words, meaty treats. Sharp-nosed little dog, no longer looking up at slowing cars for the car. Drop dog, loose dog, running back roads like it knows where the gravel goes, like it knows what it is doing. Who has not been dropped on unknown rural roads, gnawed on other creatures' long dead bones? I say, little dog, go in the direction you least think will save you. What you fear might protect you. Come now, in the breaking open of this cool, clear morning. That's right, good dog, come here. The dog did end up getting caught and was cleaned up and adopted. So that's a happy ending for that little guy. Okay, these are 2 new ones that I appreciate you listening to. You always learn something when you read a new poem. You know, it puts pressure on the words. So I'm interested in how this turns out. This first one is Drag. A yearling doe struck dead last night. No bloat yet. A dark smear across the county road from my farm lane, backtracking to a pool of blood at the neighbor's entrance. The doe's front legs stiff and straight out from death and dragging. Whoever moved her body in the dark did not see the telltale streak, or did not care, or found it funny, or was sending an FU postcard from the Red Sea. I lacked the strength to drag her back. I live alone out here. Now this next one is really new. My email server, here's the title. My email server kept interrupting to verify user ID. Having dialed the 800 number, disconnected once, then punching through recorded options to technical support, Michelle came on, ran system tests, and together we unplugged, waited, rebooted. We did a lot of waiting. Into a silence, I asked if she wanted to hear a poem. It was quiet where she was, she said, Monterrey, Mexico, so sure. I read the one on top, the road-killed doe dragged to my farm lane. You wrote that? You wrote that? That's the second poem someone's read me. A few weeks ago, she said, a hummingbird flew in my house, one leg gone. She nursed her, said it was a her, let her fly around, got fond. In the park, a man saw the release, recited her a poem. It was then the system rebooted. No more interruptions. We were done. I did not think in time to ask what poem, but did say her story was one and she should write it down. When the satisfaction survey came, I gave her 5s. It was 5s all the way down. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. Really fun.
Thank you. I really enjoyed hearing your readings, actually all of you. And I do want to apologize that I did not start the recording immediately. And so just in case we have extra time, Wendy, I'm just going to give you this option. I have Eric followed by Diana and then Rena, if she's on, and then we can add to the open mic by just jotting your names in the chat. But if you wanted to read your 2 poems again, just so that they would be the first 2 in the recording, I just want to give you that option with my apologies. You can think about it. So for the open mic.
Thanks. Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Eric Forsberg, would you get us started with the open mic?
Thank you very much. My name is Eric Forsberg, and I guess I've been in the Poetry Society of Virginia for about 15 years, but anyway, I'm happy to read a poem tonight. I've got a couple, but this is on camping in Acadia National Park in Maine, which is right on the coast. And it's entitled A Reverie on Camping in Acadia. Distant buoy bells filter up the forest heights. Below, the tide rises, breathes, sinks towards sleep as we murmur off the day. A sickle moon cuts through evergreens to shadow dance the tent flap. Paintbrush fronds of pine needles soften sound, while maple leaves translate the breeze. Surf curls below the cliffs, and each roll of bells syncopates with ocean swells. Always the night watercolor sea, and how across its blue-black back a lunar diamond blanket undulates. Muffled everywhere, except a crackle from the next tent's firewood, its nearby hiss of pitch. Before dreams burrow in our sleeping bag, senses tamp down, except hearing and balance, cousins of the inner ear, playing tricks. Your flashlight flicks back on. You ask, as the 2 moons of your glasses glint, is it me, or are we in a boat adrift?
Very beautiful. Thank you. Diana, would you like to follow? Unmute yourself, Diana.
Okay, is that it now?
It's at the bottom of the screen. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you. I also live on a farm, and so this poem is about being on this farm.
Wonderful.
The Farm, October 2022. First, light and trees. Old pecan, walnut, maple, laying shadows across the lawn, layered now with fallen leaves. I saw them dance down in a zephyred waltz, like so many bright-breasted birds. Then stone, scattered outcroppings, thick on the south pasture hill, Merlin's Hill, where once turned up a black tarnished Spanish doubloon, 1775, Carlos Tres, Rey. Stone, up wherever it will, oblivious, rough, beautiful, a long wall rising out of the ground like a memorial. Cottage and house, limestone, shaped by slave-hard hands. One January morning in the dining room, a Confederate soldier suddenly beside me, real as my husband, physical as I myself, uniformed, leather boots, clean shaven, gazing into the dark fireplace as at a lit fire. Outside, the lane, sun-warmed, color-strewn, the massive ginkgo by the barn nearing its golden peak. Autumn light, softer than summer, saying, linger, linger here.
Beautiful. Perfect timing for that.
Thank you. Okay.
We had Rena on earlier, but I don't think she made it back after the break. Did anyone else here want to read a poem for the open mic?
I have a second one if you're interested.
Okay, so just to make sure we get Wendy's two on, if you don't mind, if you want to read those, Wendy, we'll go ahead and do that. And then Eric and Diana, you can each read a second one.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Within the confines of this pasture, how the universe is understood. Pitch black mornings, I leave the lights off so I can see to find the horse out in this field, his black shape darker than the dark. Rope and halter in my hand, ankle deep in tall grass dew, I walk to where he might be at his rock outcrop or rump up to his poplar. Alas, few crickets sound like memory, so faint I pause to listen. Yes, it's not my mind. And look up there at all those stars. There are people who can name each Castor Pollux cluster and take their tiny boats to navigate vast black holes of thought through clouds of dust and gases, spinning disks of planets circling a star, to say we come from hydrogen, helium, exploding stars, and that new science is not just genius, but the luck of being in the right field at the right time, with a lead shank in one hand, after trudging through the pre-dawn fog to whistle, listen for a sigh, the tear a horse's teeth give grass, shuffled hooves as he steps out of the dark, as any second now the old horse will, and drop his nose into my hand and let himself be found.
So beautiful, thank you.
And thank you. And I think I'll stop there. That's good. I'd like to hear Diana.
All right,
maybe somebody else. Thanks.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, this is not about a physical place. It's about memory, the place of memory. This is a poem about my parents. It's called Truce. I saw them dance once, anger, bitterness gone, music joining them magically as it had long before. Then I saw them young, deep in love, moving slow and close and oh so warm in the dark hall, the soft lights glowing purple, rose, yellow, hands on shoulders, on waists. I wanted them never to stop, to remember, to dance again.
Beautiful. Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, my second poem is taken after a YouTube video, which I really recommend if people can remember the title of this. The title of the YouTube video is Walruses Mesmerized by Accordionist in the Middle of the Arctic Ocean. And the poem is entitled A Simple Clip of Video. Seated at the starboard rail, the Russian sailor starts to play a mournful tune, perhaps a favorite of his grandmother's. Buoyant, walruses scrum like an audience at a packed performance, finding seats. Then they grunt and look around to see who's here. You see the same behavior in New York. Some butt in for a better view, despite the empty bleachers of a massive Barents Sea, its proscenium of mist hung along a distant, snowless scarp. The sailor switches to a new tune, a romantic waltz. The walruses jostle in to hear. They need not know the gliding dance, the light placement of the hand about the waist, the background swirling past a partner's face, struck as they are by the rhythms of a novel mating call.
Wonderful. Thank you. Was there someone who hasn't read yet that would like to read? Okay, I'm going to share a couple of short poems from my forthcoming chapbook. It's my first book, and so it's exciting, and it's in the pre-order period at Finishing Line Press right now, but won't be out until January. I actually read these poems. Claudia was there to hear these, but this one is called Circling Back, Ocean City, Maryland. And Ocean City is a place that I spent a lot of summer vacations. Circling back, Ocean City, Maryland. Distorted magic, funhouse carnival, mirrors, Wurlitzer music, draw him to Trimpers, historical carousel, summer fairy tales, where carved creatures dwell, turquoise sea serpents, curled tails, bearing tongue and teeth, stately ribboned steeds, cascading rose reeds, in fixed canter lead, creatures his sister cherished, bride shared before she perished. And then the second one I'll do is from a house that we lived in when I was in elementary school on South Glebe Road in Arlington, really close to where it runs into Route 1. Those houses are no longer there now. So it's strange to remember a place that did exist, but doesn't really exist any longer. Hurricane Camille, South Glebe Road, August 1969. Hop the fence, don't fall. Head across the field to our creek, where cattails grow tall, beckon hide and seek, where water specimens grow, amoeba and stink. Waters trickling low, surging high over the brink, turning field to lake, basements to deep pools, drowning beloved keepsakes, darkening our moods, interruption of childhood, erasure of neighborhood. Thank you all. Okay, one more chance for anybody who didn't get to read. And Wendy, one more option to read the other poem, up to you.
Well, if you have more time, I do have one more poem.
Okay.
Okay.
Go.
All right. All right. Thanks. I have to tell you, this has just been wonderful to hear all these things read, and the scope and range, and just a pleasure. And I'm fairly new to reading, so so this has been a great experience for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming, and I would never have known that you were new to reading. You read your poems beautifully.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, well, this one is called Gravity. I want it back, the fresh swept face, the one with no abstract etchings or saddlebag cheeks. I want back my body before gravity. I want my grandfather's old Rambler in the library lot. I want to find the note under the wiper, I love you, in that unmistakable hand. I want them back, my supple arms, so I can wear the red gown that said, look at me, that said, I belong here. I want to go back and take that other road, the one where I get to play by my own playbook, not anyone else's. I want to cut the barrels fast and close, leaning in so far my stirrup touches ground. I want a do-over, a makeover, a mulligan. I want to score more than love. I want, despite and still, to go for the blue.
Very nice, thank you.
Thank you.
Laura has offered to read one more cat poem, so let's hear that.
This is what happens inevitably with cats. The kitten was so small, he could slip through the gates into the living room, which to him was a place where giants dwelled, with overstuffed chairs, towering lamps, and wall hangings. He leapt from behind the couch to pounce on us. The broom closet was his primeval forest. He frolicked through his magical kingdom, year by year. And now, suddenly the house has become enormous. He calls, "Is anyone there? Will you carry me into the sunlight? I cannot seem to find where it has gone."
Very nice, thank you. Wendy, did you decide if you wanted to read the last one?
Well,
Up to you. I haven't gotten the 10-minute warning yet, so.
okay, well then, I'll do it. Sure.
Great.
Unless you want to hear another one. Unless you want to hear another one.
Whichever you prefer.
I'll read it. Well, I'm here, so I'll read it. New time. If it all comes true, every bit of it, every tarot card, queen of clubs, every lightning bug that ever trudged a lifeline to the high point of a hand, if space bends, as they say, and gravity is up for grabs, its force perhaps too strong, too weak, or as just right as Baby Bear's chair. If our skies hold history and every starshine comes from past time to meet the present eye, it is possible to wish the wish you wish tonight on an extinguished star, which may or may not matter for the wish. Likewise, if the absence of evidence is, as they also say, evidence itself, and you had the choice, even had to choose the falling back to old time, having tired of the new, the Ouija answers every question, yes, and the chicken livers look propitious in the pot, being boiled for the dogs. If you walk out in a sunrise, orange rising into white, dogs will leave you to the gravel 2-track, having beasts to tree or send to ground. And though you might not see them, they will see you, moving past the grazing cattle who raise their heads and deem you harmless. You can watch them think it as they stand and stare and chew. That's it.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Okay, now I've gotten
Sure, thank you.
Warning, we're down to 9.5 minutes. I'm still welcoming anybody who'd like to read another poem. Okay, Claudia, you do have one.
Yeah, I can read one more, very short.
That's great, that's great.
It's from this book. It's about, each one of these is about some form of science, and this is also a place. So this is called Switzerland in Passing. It's recalling an acoustic phenomenon. Here, see me here. Summoned from sleep, I lean on the glass of the waggle-knee window. Climbing and crouching, the track winds and twists. Is it a light or a song that has called? Syllables race and ring through the air, Now, see me now, cry the hills through the wheels. Sparks from the track have gilded the Alps and turned them to bells.
Very nice. Such a really interesting wide range of poetry with place. And I did say this in the chat, but I used that quote about travel, but I never intended for anybody to feel like their poems had to be about travel. Certainly place can be, you know,
I do have one more from the chapbook if you want it.
Laura, absolutely.
This one is called Amorphous, and I tend to write in acrostics, and this is an acrostic. Atop the blades of grass in morning light, many are the drops of sparkling dew. Out beyond the barn, two doves take flight, rendering their somber calls to coo. Presently the cows begin to stir. Honeybees begin their pollen run. Old tabby cat awakes and licks his fur underneath the warming of the sun. Softly now, his day has just begun.
Lovely. Okay. Anybody else jumping in? Well, I just want to thank all of you, our featured poets, our open mic poets. The poetry is exceptional. And it's just such a joy to spend time with all of you and you know, get to know more about the things that you care about through your poetry. So I appreciate your being here, and I hope that you'll come again